Hi, my name's Rachel, and today we're talking about The Beast by Jenica Snow, which is, yes, you guessed it, a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but spicy. But after I review this one, we're gonna go over other Beauty and the Beast retellings that I've read, because this one did not work for me at all. I cannot believe I actually paid money for the audiobook for this. The Beast by Jenica Snow is the most cardboard cutout characters that I've had to deal with in a while. Possibly some of the most cardboard cutout characters you'll ever read. In fact, it feels like those fics where it's just like your name, like just put yourself in the shoes of the main character, because the main character doesn't really exist. She is nothing. She is just a placeholder for you to imagine yourself in. And in that case, it doesn't really feel like a story that I should buy. It just feels like something I would find on AO3, which is fine and has its place. It's just that this was not worth the money that I spent on the audiobook. I just read another Jenica Snow book, and that one felt very much like 365 Days fanfic. This one is technically a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but it feels like take the movie and make it like literally the Disney movie.
Tale as old as time.
We didn't even take like Belle's fiery tendencies though from the Disney movie.
If you hadn't have run away, this wouldn't have happened.
If you hadn't frightened me, I wouldn't have run away.
There's no personality here, and we also just didn't use our time efficiently. There is no plot in here, and I prefer a plot. I think that plot can be everywhere. Further, it's my opinion that I want plot to be everywhere. Now, if you are not somebody who needs a plot in a story, I can't relate, but you're allowed to feel however you want to. We didn't use our time efficiently. We just went straight to being corny. Rhymes with corny, okay? I'm trying not to get demonetized. Chapter 1 is literally just the Beast watching Belle from the shadows with a raging, looks like this, except his is 10 times bigger, if you catch my drift. Really trying not to get demonetized here. We haven't even established anything yet. We haven't established world, stakes, particularly the characters, but we have established... For real?
You've got to pull yourself together.
Before we even do that though, we do have a trigger warnings list, which I'm afraid to read out loud because again, I feel like this video is in danger of becoming demonetized and I do actually need to pay my bills. So this is the trigger warnings list. Lots of stuff today that I'm gonna have to find euphemisms for, huh? At the risk of sounding redundant, just because a book is short doesn't mean that you don't have time to cultivate a plot and a story, right? Again, like this is like 40 or 50 pages or so, maybe even less, and it's one of my favorite stories ever. And sure, this book that we're gonna talk is Schmierotica, but Schmierotica isn't synonymous with lackluster, with no plot, with not worthy of my money. Make your Rhymes with Corny story, but also make the characters people, not cardboard cutouts, you know, people that I actually find intriguing. This isn't impossible to do both of those things at once, right? But I guess it was here. I don't know. Synopsis of this is Belle's dad, Maurice, has debts. Maurice needs those debts paid to Gaston. Gaston gets the money, and Maurice has to give up his daughter, Belle, to the Beast, who did all of this because he's super into Belle. All right, as a premise, it's not it's not a horrible premise. We could do something with that I could like. I'm picky, but I'm not that picky, despite what some of you will say to me. But the prologue is, they call me the Beast, a literal monster that stayed high in the mountains, my castle overlooking the village like an ominous presence. Okay, they feared me, rightfully so. I was not friendly. I did not care about them or their hardships or issues, and they did not care about me either. Oh, this is off to a good start. So it says that he stays away until sunset, and that's when he stalks the cobblestone streets of the village.
It's a quiet village.
That's when I hunted her. Belle was a human female I had known nothing about, but she instantly called to something dark and primal inside me. I was positively transfixed, mesmerized, obsessed, and territorial because she was mine. When Sleep Token says, "You will be mine," I'm like, yeah, sing it. When this guy does it, I'm like, who are you?
No.
So he comes upon Belle, and it immediately, I did not need to, he's already thinking this stuff. We're in the prologue. I could not help but envision wrapping one of my meaty paws, you gotta be kidding, around those silky strands of her hair, tugging her head back. I would hold her in places with my teeth at her throat as I pushed my too big into her and made her take every inch. She would stretch so nicely around me, cry that it hurt, that I was too large. Like, this is the prologue. Jesus. She wore a light blue dress. We found out how he felt about how she would be during Schmex before we find out what she's wearing. Like, I just, What are we doing? She wore a light blue dress with a white apron tight around her hourglass waist, her body so lush and curvaceous that my instantly stood at attention. We're back to that. We're back to the member. The heavy ribbed length pulsing behind my trews. I can't say this word, I'm gonna get demonetized. Liquid already starting to drip out and dampen the front of the material. I growled low and reached down, curling a big clawed paw around the girth. The amount of times that girth is used and the word that I can't say without getting demonetized, and also big hairy rhymes with calls.
And every last inch of me's covered with hair.
Is used. I mean, I'm just, you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it. This book is not that long, and yet there's no plot, and yet let's actually look up how many times big hairy you-know-whats is said. 3 times. 3 times, including in the epilogue, in a very short book that has no plot. It's just, you couldn't think of a synonym. We just say the same thing over and over again. Okay, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. There are other Beauty and the Beast retellings. One of those is similar to this one. One that I read last year is a spicy Beauty and the Beast retelling where we asked, if a woman falls into the clutches of a beastly man in the forest and no one is around to hear them do the do, did the do actually get done? Speaking of doing the do and nobody hearing it, today's video is sponsored by Bellessa. Bellessa has perfected the nobody hearing it piece with their new Whisper collection, which are their silent toys. And the proof that it's silent is that I've had this one running the entire time I've been talking. You can see the red lights on. You don't hear anything. Nothing. Bellessa's Whisper Tech makes sure that you never need to choose between power and discretion. Spicy time, but without waking up your family or neighbors, or the entire forest, as the characters from today's book do. Let's test this one. Still nothing. Can't hear anything. You can see the red lights on. There's no noise. They have the Whisper Bullet, Whisper Rabbit, and Whisper Vibe. It'll stay silent, but can you? Whisper Bullet in particular was made with aesthetics in mind. It's super cute. It looks like a tube of lipstick. Nobody's gonna know. They are silent, but deadly. Bellessa is a bi-women company whose mission is to empower everybody to embrace their spicy side. All of these toys are super good for beginners. These only have 1 button and you can press the button again to increase the speed. This one has 2 buttons for its 2 different functions, but still very easy to use. And again, completely silent. So even like on its highest speed, you still cannot hear anything at all. That's it turned up all the way. Great while traveling and just general discretion. These are waterproof, easy to clean, made with silicone, and they all just charge right in the bottom. You just plug it in. Super simple. I'm a huge fan of Whisper Tech, and I also just love the color. It's so cute. Everyone who signs up at the link down in my description below wins a free Whisper Vibe or free Air Vibe with any Whisper purchase. So click the link in the description and grab your new vibe. The question is, this will stay silent, but can you? And thank you so much to Bellessa for sponsoring today's video. So then he goes to the tavern where his staff member Pierre is striking a deal with Gaston, and it says that there's a chandelier of antlers in this tavern, which, okay, I get it. You watched Beauty and the Beast from Disney specifically and decided to just write what you saw on screen and write in Schmeck scenes around it.
I use antlers in all of my decorating.
Great. And it also says, like, you know, that he's watching them use the wooden chips that they use as currency in their games. And I'm like, isn't this just literally the scene from Beauty and the Beast? Okay, all right, no, it's fine. I don't think Gaston had any lines in this book.
Gosh, it disturbs me to see you, Gaston.
But a deal is struck, so Belle's father pays off Maurice's debts to Gaston, but in exchange, the Beast gets Belle. As I said, we don't see this. Okay, this is, it happens in passing and we hear about it after the fact. She is at his house. You know, your name, just kidding, it's Belle, is at his castle. And there's like a, you will join me for dinner, but she doesn't have any like fire to her. She's just like, okay, I will join you for dinner. I am a shell of a person meant for people reading this to insert themselves into so that they can get boned by a beastie guy. So at dinner, he's eating like, you know, Beast from Beauty and the Beast. And she laughs at this. She laughs because it's like, oh my gosh, I've never seen anybody so ravenous. And he gets so upset about this.
She'll never see me as anything but a monster.
His big manly feelings simply cannot abide by being laughed at. And so he like leaves and he's like, I'm a grown male and I got upset. And he gets chastised by the Mrs. Teapot of this book, who's not a teapot in the book. I forget who she is, but like the characters in the movie are people. They don't get assigned names other than Pierre. Like in her POV, she's not calling them by their name. They're really just here to make her food and make deals for her to be sold and also clean up juices. Anyway, she gets bored and lonely because all she does is walk around his castle, and all he does is like let her eat dinner with him. But she knew that coming here, she heard like his entire plan was like for him to have a wife who would breed his spawn.
I need 6 eggs!
That's too expensive.
So this is like breeding kink, which is not my thing. If it's yours, it's fine. It's just that the language that gets used around it often gives me the ick. It doesn't have to. It's just the way that it gets talked about in this book. I don't like it. Anyway, she says she doesn't think about how her father's doing, which is the exact same thing that I had an issue with in the last book that I read by Jenica Snow. It's like, oh, those things that affect me in my life before I showed up to this scene that I'm about to get boned in, I don't really care about that, which feels really inhuman. She meets, Madame, that's her name, that's right. She meets a candlestick-thin man in livery attire, looking at me with a warm smile. He was younger, his dark blonde hair slicked back, and when he welcomed me, I could hear a thick accent.
This is Lumiere.
Enchanté, chérie.
One from a distant land. France? Are we distant from France? I wouldn't know. Where are we? Who knows? Isn't Beauty and the Beast set in France? Okay, I'm just confused. And then an older woman, Mrs. Teapots for all intents and purposes, calls herself Madame. I am Madame. This is Pierre. He handles any and all housekeeping around the house. Any and all housekeeping around the house. You could have just said any and all housekeeping. We know where the housekeeping gets done. It's around the house. It's not around the garden. He doesn't do the housekeeping in the garden. He does it in the house. It's in the name. It's in the name. Oh my God. But we have lots of time to get more into that. No, we don't. We're not going to get into it at all. She has like an entire carved armoire. It does not come to life. And the Beast has picked out all of her attire. Master has picked out each piece. He has impeccable taste and knew just the things to get you so that they would accentuate your natural beauty. And then, of course, the lavatories are through that door because apparently we have running water toilets in here. We'll let it go. He and her like have dinner together. She laughs at him. He stomps away. The writing in this is like real bad. That's part of like, okay, you can write a short book. That's fine. It doesn't mean you don't need to edit it, especially if you're going to charge for it, you should edit it. So it shouldn't be like he does the housekeeping around the house. And also it shouldn't be like talking about the Beast. He was utterly terrifying, period. Easily 3 times the size of a human man with shoulders terrifyingly broad. You don't need to say terrifying and then terrifyingly. You need to pick a different word. So she's wandering about the castle. She's bored. She wanders into the kitchen where I could hear pots and pans banging and cook shouting in French to sous chef. So before it was Pierre, French ass name, has an accent from a distant land, assumedly France, which is normally where we're set in, but I guess we're not set here. But then it says shouting in French to sous chef. So is Pierre not from the distant land of France? Is Pierre from another distant land that also has names like Pierre? Or did you just learn what France is and what the French language is? What do you mean? Like, who edited this? A crumb of editing, I beg you. Because I didn't know the names of anyone aside from Madame and Pierre, I'd gotten used to just calling them by their household titles. They didn't seem to care, that was, if they bothered to address me. Wow, how incredibly not dehumanizing at all to just be called by your title. Oh, sous chef, like he has a name. They didn't seem to care. I'm sure they don't in a book where they have no characterization, and neither do you. Great. Anyway, no, they don't break out into song and ask if she'll be their guest.
Be our guest. Be our guest. Put our service to the test.
She's walking around, she's like checking out all of the vases and stuff. God, I wish we were reading Piranesi instead. And she sees the Beast in a dark corridor, sort of like looming and watching with his beastie eyeballs. And she goes up to him for some reason, and she's like about to reach out for him. And he says, "My female." Ew, I don't like that. Touch me, take your fill. I'm full, I'm stuffed. I couldn't possibly. But then they hear like a racket and she's like, oh, I couldn't possibly touch him.
No.
Oh, yes.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
And then he tells her, eat your fill at supper. You need your energy when I require my new wife to bathe me. Require? Who's normally bathing you? Is it sous chef from France? Jesus. So he does in fact have her bathe him later after dinner. And he says, wash me, wife, wash yourself. Yeah, Belle, get that flea shampoo for this cat who can't bathe himself. Who is bathing him normally? That's my question. Oh wait, in the movie they literally bathed him.
Tonight is the night.
Oh my God. And while she's bathing him, I learned about you. You know, Pierre told me that you like romance novels, so I got all of them that I could find. This is it. This is the last that we hear about her. This is the first and last that we hear about her having liked romance novels. Great. I saw you in the village and I knew I'd take you as my wife. And it says his words were sometimes hard to decipher because of his fangs, but I heard those loud and clear. This has never been brought up before, that there's like an issue, a barrier there, and it never gets brought up again. And I'm like, so just for like this whole time, you've been struggling to understand what he's been saying to you because of the fangs. And now, you know what? Never mind. We're just gonna move on. He has a massive as you do. And it says that it's as long and thick as her forearm. This is like, I mean, this is a little smaller than average size, right? We're dealing with a little bit less around the middle here, okay? A lot less maybe. This is my forearm. Are we seeing this just in scale? Just so we're clear on, I thought maybe you could use the visual assistance. Where's that going? She's a virgin, of course. What the beast had wasn't what a human male had between his legs. See, we're gonna do more character development for his than for Belle, and I don't like it. It has a nodule, apparently, so it's, you know, we're gonna do some nodding later. It's just dripping. It says the shaft was so girthy. Oh my God, I'm getting demonetized. She thinks about how could there possibly be so much liquid already if he has not arrived yet? It says that she's thinking about what that would feel like inside, and then notices that it has ridges all over it, and then once again wonders what it would be like inside. It's like back to back, one sentence in between. You just said this. Was this written quickly and edited never? It'll feel like nothing you've ever experienced before. It'll fill you up to the brim, making you feel like you'll split in two. Wow, I can't imagine anything sexier. And when you don't think you can take anymore, I'll shove even more into you and then we'll both arrive. I'll fill you with so much of my stuff that I'll get you big and swollen with my young, and when I pull out, the liquid will pour from you. Sir, you have barely talked to this woman. What are we doing here? It's in her POV and it says, I was shocked and embarrassed. Me too, girlfriend. Me too. So he's like, explore me. So she explores him in that she washes him and describes his body to us, like all of his beastly features from like top to bottom, and repeatedly says that her inner walls clench. Again, no editing whatsoever. He calls her a good girl because she's doing a certain job with her hands, if you catch my drift. He, slams his hand into a wall and it says he crushes the plaster. And I'm like, the plaster? Isn't this a fucking castle? Shouldn't it be stone? What are we doing? And so there's liquid, obviously. Do you see that? That's all for you. I'm gonna shove this big in you and make you take every last ounce until it's pouring out of you. We just repeat this like at least 5 times throughout this book.
Gosh, it disturbs me.
And then he repeats again that he wants her big and swollen with his young. We hear repeatedly about his big, hairy, rhymes with calls, swinging back and forth. No, thank you. He finishes so forcefully that it sprays along the wall. Now, my question, hold please, is which one of these poor unfortunate souls that works for him has to clean this up? Is that up to Madame, or does sous chef roll up his rubber gloves?
Try the gray stuff. It's delicious.
Get to town on these plaster walls we have in this castle in not France. I can smell the sweet honey that flows out of that tight little right now. Be fucking for real. Oh God, I hate this. I'm gonna brand you from the inside out. Like, everything about this is just dirty talk. Like, this entire book, you're paying for an audiobook to dirty talk to you in like the most cringe way possible. Apparently this character, who is an empty shell of a person, is really into it. Something shifted in me after the encounter. Girl, same. Shifted from oh to ugh. But she flicks the bean thinking about it. And then she gets mail from her dad. Oh my God, is it a plot I smell? No, it's not. I need help, he says. Meet me tonight. He didn't ask if she's well or happy, she notes, and she's just like, well, what are you gonna do? Nothing. She does nothing. Just wish I just once, like, I wish that it would be like a manipulation thing where like the girl, I don't know, hates her dad or is trying to get revenge against somebody, and she's like, I'm gonna manipulate my dad into selling me to this beastly dude who lives out in the woods so that I can take his money and do what I gotta do with it. Like, I just wish that we had some women with like some initiative. Like, sure, fall into like lust and the dude with horns. I'm just saying that, like, could we maybe give her some like agency along the way and also a plot? Begging for a plot all day, every day. So she tells the beast, hey, my dad sent me a letter and he is in trouble with Gaston yet again, I guess. And he's like, sure, we can go and I'll protect you. And she's like, oh, you'll protect me? And she kisses him. This is their first kiss. The bar is low and he is shimmying underneath it. Then he's talking again after the kiss, of course, about how he wants to fill her with liquid in every circular region. What? A crevice, cavern, nook and cranny, right? I feel like if I say the word that starts with H, I'm gonna get demonetized. And he wants to boink in every room of this castle made of plaster and make it so that she just perpetually smells like his baby juice. Perfect. No plot here. So they get to the meeting place with her dad and out pops Gaston. I'm pretty sure that Gaston still did not have any dialogue. It was just the beast saying, oh, this is a trap. For what? We don't know. I'm gonna tear your heart from your chest and give it to my female. And then he does. And then he tells Belle, run, I'm gonna find you and come boink you. And he does. It is a forest primal, like, chase scene, which I'm not against. Like, I'm for it. Just not in this book with these characters because I don't know them. All I know is they have been corny from prologue page 1. For why? I don't know. Who's to say? Not the book. So then we have a Schmeck scene where there is usage of his tail, which again, I'm not against, just I hate these people. There is using the tail to stink. Then there's stuff that I don't like, which is using the word juices, using the word cream, using the word like in a Schmeck scene just makes me kind of like want to die. I don't know what euphemism I want y'all to use instead. I don't know. All I know is that all of them that you've used so far have made me cringe. And then there's nodding and there's him saying, even if you have second thoughts, it's too late, which I'm like, oh, that's grapey. But they're doing the do and there's nodding and there's all kinds of, trying to get her pregnant and yikes. So I'm not going to read it because I can't do that many euphemisms. I just can't. But in the end, they go back to the castle and she thinks, how did I fall for him so fast?
Barely even friends, then somebody bends.
Bitch, don't you dare. Don't ask the questions that the reader is asking and think that, oh, because the main character asked it, it's fine. No, the book's supposed to answer the question that the reader is asking in this case. Like, how did you fall so fast? We'd all love to know. She's like, thank you for protecting me from what? We don't know because we don't know what the plot was between Maurice and Gaston to do to the beast, but okay. And he says, you are my life. Without you, there's no meaning. Oh, there's no meaning because this is nonsense. Nothing happened here. You are my life. You guys don't have a life. All you have is rhymes with corniness. There is no like him reverting back to human. There are long stem red roses in his bedroom, but there is no moment of like, oh, he's shifting back to a human, which fine. I'm for you guys banging a monster. I don't need them to transfer back to a human or ever have been a human. All I needed was plot. He does do aftercare, which cool, great. But I won't forget that during Schmeck's, he said, if you have second thoughts, oh well, too bad. I won't forget. Oh, by the way, the Schmeck scene had these really weird moments over and over, like at least 3 times, where he is marveling at how small she is compared to him. And then he's like, and she's so pale and my fur is so dark compared to hers. And I was like, oh, and then he says he bones her savagely. And I'm like, see, we're starting to use that language again. So then they're like, we're together now. We did the nasty. And oh, he actually calls himself nasty while boinking her, which was interesting. And in the epilogue, the first line of the epilogue is, let me see that tight. I think we're done here. I think we know what happens. They live happily ever after with lots and lots of babies and baby juice for that matter. Great. I am not against spicy Beauty and the Beast retelling.
But she is being so difficult.
I just want it to have a plot. Sometimes I can like say that I don't think the book is like the best book, but I think like an example. in particular, of one that is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, is maybe it's not the best book, but is spicy, and I do feel like the spice was earned, and I feel like it was pretty well written, is The North Wind. The North Wind never gave me the ick in the spicy scenes. I appreciate that because I can get the ick real easily, and this did not do that. And I felt like they were earned, and I felt like the lead up to them, I was like, oh my gosh, I kind of want them to do it. Like, go for it.
Be our guest.
These people, I'm like, if you don't slow down, I'm gonna throw up. I feel like I'm on a tilt-a-whirl. But that's longer. We had time, but we also, I feel like we could have, if we just utilized our time better, and instead of repeating and wasting time on certain things, we would have had time to do some character development, because again, I've read short stories that do this. Six Deaths of a Saint did this very easily, but a shorter one that similar to this just went straight to like lack of world building, stuff that doesn't make sense, not answering questions. This was worse than Wicked as the Reaper, but Wicked as the Reaper also I felt like did this, where it was just like we were trying to streamline ourselves straight to the corny parts, and in the process we sort of fumbled things on the side and missed a lot of like very logical questions and left it open to plot holes. Now those are all, like I've been talking about adult books. There are young adult books, obviously they're not going to be spicy at all, but so because they take out the spice, they have to do other parts. Like they can do romance but no spice. They can do and they're longer books, so they do focus on like the plot and the character development more, right? Whereas these novellas, they I guess the writers didn't feel like they had enough time to do that. I disagree. I think you do, but it happened, right? So there are some young adult books that are Beauty and the Beast retellings that I quite like that I want to point out here. So East by Edith Patou is one that I feel like just excels in this like really lovely slow burn romance that also gives Belle, Rose in this case, just a ton of agency, where she has to, that moment where she has to like save the beast at the end of Beauty and the Beast, it's like a huge part of Rose's journey where she does something that causes the beast to get kidnapped by the bad guy. And the bad guy is really interesting. I'm not going to give anything away. I want you to read the book. The bad guys in this particular story are really interesting and really unique, and you get to spend enough time with them that you feel like that story has stayed with me, and the last time I read it was like a decade ago. It was one that I reread over and over in high school. I just love it. It's so atmospheric. You know where you are. You're so immersed in the story, and when Rose does something that she wasn't supposed to do and the beast is gone and she has to go and find him, she has so much, she just works so hard. She has so much agency, and she's so smart, and she knows she messed up, and she's like, oh, I broke the rule. I wasn't supposed to break the rule, and she did. And I love that it was an issue on her part that caused this, rather than like in Beauty and the Beast where it's like he simply ran out of time before Belle says, I love you. It was that in this case, like Rose made a mistake, but the mistake does lead to like, you know, the happy ending in the end, right? There's also A Curse So Dark and Lonely, which I thought was like a really interesting take on Beauty and the Beast. This is portal fantasy. So our main character, I think her name's Harper, she portals into a fantasy world where there's like an issue with a Beauty and the Beast type thing, where it's just one guy, Prince, and his companion Gray, who's like his bodyguard, and they're in this castle together, and Prince is cursed and he turns into a monster every so often, and Harper comes in and she's like, the way that you're running shit, like I know you have to turn into a monster and stuff, but the way that you're running shit is like really bad. I have some ideas. Let's implement them. There was no, and then the chandelier was made of antlers, and I really appreciated that. Like I appreciate, you know, taking something and making it new, because retellings of classic fairy tales are a common device that we use, right? How many retellings have you read? Probably a lot. Whether it's like fairy tales or like Greek myth, we've all read a lot of retellings, but there's always something new to be done. What new thing did this book do? It didn't. Even Beauty and the Beast has, like I've discussed, a myriad of retellings, and there's more. Please don't recommend the one by Rosamund Hodge to me. Somebody already did. I understand that I wanted to read this because I really like Beauty and the Beast retellings. Honestly, like I'll read 100 more in my lifetime probably, but not this one, because Rosamund Hodge is an anti-choicer. She is anti-abortion in like a very paternalistic way where she feels like it's very loving. I don't like her. I have her blocked everywhere. I won't read Rosamund Hodge books. No, thank you. Anyway, moving on from that. You can do so much with retellings. You can try to modernize them, which is where like Beastly comes in, right? You can try to reframe the original narrative, which is, I think somewhere there's a Sapphic Beauty and the Beast retelling, right? And with every new retelling, you can add another layer of richness. You can explore something new. You can create a new character and develop them in a very original way. But when just like used as set dressing for smut, I just have to wonder like, what was the point? Especially when it just feels like we watched the Disney movie, we typed in the things we saw on screen and then called it a day. And character development in particular, I really feel like, you know, when we talk about like the 4 C's of crafting a story, like Daniel Jose Older has I've referenced this class I took from him several times, but it's characters, context, conflict, and craft. And characters, one of the 4 C's, like you can't do anything without that. It's one of the cornerstones of a compelling retelling. It's why I think that East by Edith Patu works so well. I think it's critical in Beauty and the Beast retellings because the characters, Belle and the Beast, these are archetypes, sure, but creating more depth to them is one of the reasons that a retelling can succeed so well. So like in the case of A Curse So Dark and Lonely, that's certainly true. In the case of like North Wind by Alexandria Warwick, is that her name? I thought that adding like all of that extra depth to the North, the North Wind, the King of the North, what was his name again? Where he had all these brothers and they are also the winds and they are also in their own way gods and there's conflict between them. And also the North Wind like lost his family. This is all like very complex, and also he like bakes her a cake in the end. I don't know, I like that book. I know some of y'all hate it, but I just didn't hate it. See, this is what happens when I try to do this no script, is I just go off on tangents about men who bake cakes. I want and he went through like substantial growth in that book, right? I want the characters to go through some sort of growth, a little bit of growth. If it's a shorter book, you do a little bit. If it's a longer book, you do more. But none, I don't think, is the answer. It just feels very inauthentic to like the human experience, even if we are talking about a beast. Belle is often depicted as like a bookish girl. Oh, here's the other one. Here's the other Beauty and the Beast retelling. I know that A Court of Thorns and Roses is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. We're gonna keep it off the list because I don't care about that book. I don't like it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't care. We're not going to do that. We're going to talk about literally any others. We get it. We disrupted the narrative by making the Belle, in this case, a woman who couldn't read. I don't care. I don't want to talk about ACOTAR. Belle in Beauty and the Beast retellings is typically depicted as bookish. She's depicted as independent. She's more in charge because her dad is either, you know, doing criminal stuff like we see in this one, or he is an inventor and he is, you know, off doing his own stuff, or he works a lot. But in a crappy retelling, what we see is just Belle being passive, and that's certainly what we saw here. That's also what I feel like we saw in Wicked as the Reaper, was this woman is so passive, except when she tries to escape, except her escapes don't make any sense. And I just crave like a smart woman in a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I also don't like that we simply become enamored immediately, rather than like, this is a story of a person being stuck in this house or castle with this person and under shitty circumstances. And you, like, the whole thing is falling for this person despite how we ended up here. And instead we're just like, well, I got really giving him a bath. Like, are we serious? I think that making that so shallow and overly simplistic makes it so that I'm like, well, what was the point of even making this a Beauty and the Beast retelling then? I also think like the Beast himself, the transformation there is pretty central to the plot. The journey from this like isolated, angry, arrogant person, this definitely happened in the North Wind, to having some vulnerability, having some understanding because of conversations that he's had with this woman. Leaving that out is boo. That's all I have to say is boo. Why'd you leave that out? That's so juicy. Not making the Beast a complex character is such a waste. And crappy retellings were just like, well, he's beastly and he calls himself nasty and he's monstrous, and we don't do any sort of like internal work. We're just like, he's monstrous and therefore rhymes with corny. I don't think like mimicking some of the plot events of Beauty and the Beast and then just being able to like divert to a schmeck scene is a good idea. I think that we can do both a well-written story and the schmeck scene. Like, sure, have them doing like primal stuff, like running around the woods, go for it. But like the lead up to that shouldn't have been a scene where Gaston does not even talk. rock and gets his heart ripped out. What are we thinking? There are no external conflicts in this book, and the external conflict is so good in Beauty and the Beast. I mean, the whole thing with like the villagers getting riled up into a mob and heading towards the castle and that becoming like the main conflict is just like, it was good. It's good shit. We also didn't like throw in any surprises or deviations. It's just completely flat the whole time. And I think that throwing in surprises and deviations from the original story is something that I loved about The North Wind, and something I loved about East, and something that I loved about A Curse So Dark and Lonely. Like, all of these have these like deviations from the natural story that you don't really see coming, and you're like, this is fun. I don't know where this is going to go because I'm so used to the original story, and this is fun. And if the story's progression does not feel earned, then the romantic tension does not feel earned to me, and therefore I end up giving it 1 star, which is what happened here. I'm not even asking for like a lot of theme and symbolism. I'm just asking for a story, any story, and a little bit of deviation. Like, if you're gonna do Beauty and the Beast retelling, let's do it. Let's do the stuff that makes that like really and like a fun, enriching experience. Because when executed well, they can be some of my favorite books. Like, I give a lot of romantasy, a lot of shit, and yet I didn't for The North Wind. Why? Why is it that I have reread East by Edith Patu over and over in my life? Why is it that I really liked A Curse So Dark and Lonely and enough to like read the sequel? I like these stories. This might be a tale as old as time, but we can keep redoing it in fun and inventive ways that stay with me, and yet this book didn't, and it didn't need to fall so flat. So that's what I have to say about The Beast by Jenica Snow and about Beauty and the Beast retellings. If you made it this far, you can leave a rose for Belle and Beauty and the Beast. What? Also, let me know what your favorite or least favorite Beauty and the Beast retelling book is. I know there's a lot of like, technically East is East of the Sun, West of the Moon retelling, but like all of these, like Hades and Persephone, Beauty and the Beast, East of the Sun, West of the Moon, like all of these are shared, right? So whatever your favorite of those is, let me know down below. Thank you so much for watching. Comments and questions go down below, and I will see you next time. Bye. Oh, I should have made a Be Our Guest joke. Nah, I'm too tired. I'm gonna go eat pizza. Bye. And before I go, I have to say thank you for being a friend. Therapyville's patrons, and those are Alexander, Andy, Ashley 8, Astra, Beck, Call Me Kodiak, Choco's Homesick for Taiwan, DJ Rocktopus, Ellie, Emerald Dodd, Eric, Jade L, John E, Jory, Julie D, K, Kai Brecker has not read Six of Crows, Kaleno K, Kelly K, Quinn, Lady Kittybug, Lady Chips, Lemon Jelly, Lex, Other Lex, Lily, Lisa L, Matta Raptor, Max B, Megwin Rose, Melissa, Minby, Mixer Boneless, Not So Secretly a Skeleton, Peggy Luhu, Piloting SRN, Rain, Reese, SJ, Samar, Scarlet, Spoopy, Steph B, Super SMA Girl Lily, 3 Raccoons in a Trench Coat, Tori, Urchin Audrey, White Raven 13, and Zorvictia. Thank you all so much for being here and for being a friend. And a huge thank you to my potato starch Marxists, Adrian, Aaron, Alejandra, Ali Oxenfree, Althea, Amanda D, Angelica, Artie the Ninth, Ava, Barry B, Beck Lowe, Binging for Soup, Blue Moon Syrup, Bookish by Jenna, Bookish Rabbit, Bree, Bridget 108, Kate, Caitlin, Carlin, Carly, Casper, Kate W, Kat Cole, Colleen, Corwin, Cosmic Frog, Courtney, Darius, Danielle, Danita, Darren, Desiree Michelle, Dilf Enthusiast, Dorothea Supports Public Education, Draco-chan, Drive-By Thinker, Ebby, Emily A, Emma, Aaron with 2 E's, Erica May, Aaron Starlight, Gadarn, Hannah C, Helen P, Harising, JM Tennant, Jackalope Max, Jay is on Olympus, Jelly V, Jen Michelle, Genderqueer, Jenny G, Jessie Ives, Jessa Sue, Jill, Jojo Bookish, Juicy Wizard, who I just met in person at Booknet Fest, and I was so excited. Caitlin M, Catherine, Katie, Katrina, Kayla, Kaylee, Kayala, Kendra, KMTV, Kayana, Laughing Cat Dog, Laura is Angry, Lauren G, Lazarus Ray, Lindsay M, LP, Lou Siri, Lustful Octopus, Martin, Macy Jane, Maddie, Madison, Man-Eating Plant, Megan, Malara, May, Mima Who, Morgan P, Myth Lesbian, Nicole G, Oxford, supporter, same, Paige P, Penelope, Penny Chilling, Foxglove, Pick a God and Pray, Plague Carrier, Pandemonium, Queen Cereal, Rachel B, Rebecca R, Ren, Flynn, Rhea, Ronnie, Rosie Thorns, Secoria, Sadie, Saintbringer, Sakia Lume, Sarah H, Sarah the Bear, Shamed, Shannon, Sheen Onion, Sean, Sophie, Talia, That One Cute Chick, This Is Not a Trap, Tiana, Too Thick to Work to Get Today, Triple M, Tito Phoenix, Unicorn Jenny. Thank you all so much for being here and for being a friend.